Welcome to the MCDFNL Footy Show for another week. Sean Kelly's my name, with you once again. Joining me as he does every week, Sam Gow is our co-host down the end of the panel there. Sammy, welcome back, mate.
G'day, Sean.
And joining us this week as well for the review segment for the start of the show, a man that I dare say is much happier this week than he has been in several other weeks throughout the season. From the Maryborough Rovers, Corey Taylor joins us. Corey, thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much, mate.
And must be a bit of a relief getting that first win on the board on the weekend, mate.
Yeah, you're not wrong, mate. It's been a long time coming, but yeah, it's good to finally get that monkey off the back and get the first win.
And I heard as soon as the siren sounded, basically you got back there Saturday night, you've put in a call to Sammy Gowes and said, I'm on the Footy Show this week.
Oh, I don't know about the call from me to him. Pretty much soon after the game, I got the message off Sammy and asked if I'd like to come along, and I said, yeah, no worries.
Oh, well, it's an absolute pleasure having you here, mate. We'll touch more on the win and the Rovers in general shortly, but before we do, we're going to have a look at the two other games played on the weekend, of course. In the middle of the split round 14 at the moment, just 3 games played last weekend, and if you're sitting on 3 from 3 and tipping at the moment, Sammy, you're either a genius or you're a liar.
Yeah, I'd say both.
And I do know somebody in our tipping comp that is sitting on 3 out of 3 as well.
Who is it?
Stewie McGibbon from the Bendigo Bank, of course.
Genius.
Absolute genius. He's the major sponsor. He has to be a genius. But no, going very nicely, as are the Harcourt Footy Club at the moment, because they got a big scalp on the weekend. They temporarily move into the top 4, knocking over Newstead 15-14-104. Harcourt to Newstead 8-7-55. Casey Williams booted 3 goals for Harcourt, 2 each to Alan Mack and Scott Newton. For Newstead, Daniel Christmas booted 4 and Nathan Webster kicked 2. Best players for Harcourt, Mitchell, Hicks, Newton, Dwyer, Leach and Ling. And for Newstead, Christmas, Park, Gilboy, Webster, Entwistle and Colvin are their best players. A little bit of a turn-up this one, especially the week before where Harcourt really struggled to get over the line against the Campbell's Creek side, and then they come out and give a good proper dusting to a top 4 side, Sammy.
Yeah, we've said all year that Harcourt might be sort of the dark horse of the competition. I think they're starting to prove that. They're really starting to build momentum in the second half of the year, and they could be a threat come finals time.
Corey, you would have seen these two sides much closer than what we have throughout the season. Is this a surprising result from your point of view?
Not really, mate. We played Harcourt a few weeks ago over there in a pretty wet and windy day, and I was very impressed by their performance. I think they bet us quite substantially, but yeah, I was mentioned to a few boys after the game that I reckon come finals time they might be able to cause a bit of an upset and be a bit of a dark horse come September.
Of course, we heard from Daniel Smith last week. That's exactly what they're planning on doing as the season goes on. Second of the 3 games this week, Trentham taking on Royal Park, and Trentham getting over the line. Well done to the Saints. 3 goals, 8-26, defeating Royal Park 2-7-19. Must have been some sort of day out at Trentham on the weekend, boys, because that's a quarter-time score. That's not a full-time score.
Yeah, I'd say it'd be pretty cold, wet and windy down at Trentham.
Yeah, I think it would have been as well. Goals for Trentham, Luke Whitehouse, Sam Gardner and Daniel Canfield all kicking in single goals. For Royal Park, Laurie Parker and Jim Iglesias getting their goals as well. Best for Trentham, Can, Gray, Wicker, Whitehouse, Cowell and Paul Smith. And for Royal Park, Walker, Birch, McKay, Blake, Iglesias and Parker. Royal Park led for most of the day, but Trentham just with that 1 goal in the last quarter getting over the line, and really good to see for Trentham. Great for them, much like the Rovers, which we'll talk about shortly, to get that second win for the season and get the club up and about a bit as we come towards the end of the season, Sammy.
Yeah, it'd be good for them heading into next year, especially after Royal Park knocked them off earlier this season, to get one back over the Tigers. I think they'd be pretty happy with that. Flip
of the coin, Royal Park, who obviously, Corey, have been really much improved this year, one of the most improved sides in the league, but came up on a dirty day against a side fairly desperate to win. It's, I suppose, a similar kind of thing to what you'll be hoping come round 18.
Yeah, well, that's right, mate.
Around 16 in this case, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, these days, when it's pretty wet and wild conditions, I mean, it's perfect ingredients for an upset, and my personal opinion would have been for Royal Park to win this game, but yeah, it's good effort by the Trentham boys.
Yeah, it was indeed. Full marks to Clayton Scoble and everybody out at the Trentham Footy Club. Just reward for the efforts they've put in this season. As was the last game we'll talk about, and didn't this please the hearts of everybody in the MCDFNL, that I know of anyway, that has got a beating pulse, and probably those that aren't involved with Campbell's Creek Footy Club, because it was the Maryborough Rovers singing their club song for the first time in season 2013. 9-8-62 the Rovers, defeating Campbell's Creek 7-7-49. 2 goals each to Dion Hedger, Tom Stiles and the bloke sitting on my left, Corey Taylor. And for Campbell's Creek, 3 each to Joel Smith and Chris Stone. Best players for Rovers, Richie, Kennedy, Fraser, Jardine and Matt Stiles. And for Campbell's Creek, Joel Smith, Keeler Reid, Bennett, Wallace, Climack and Shane O'Toole. Fantastic first quarter, Corey, really setting the game up. 5 goals, 4 to 1 goal. After Creek came out and they did a similar thing to Harcourt the week before, must have been pleasing. You got the best of the conditions, get the score on the board, and then from there you can set a foundation for a win.
Yeah, well that's right, mate. The first quarter we kicked with the wind and there was no rain, so I think the Creek boys kicked the first goal of the game, and then we were fortunate enough to kick the next 5 in the reasonably dry conditions and with a bit of breeze behind our back.
Obviously they came at you a little bit. They got to within 3 goals at 3/4 time. How are you feeling at that 3/4 time break, knowing that you're in front, you can taste it, you're 20 odd points in front, but past experiences this year where you haven't been able to clinch the win, was it kind of a weird kind of feeling, or was it just a determination to get that win on the board?
It was a bit of both, mate. It was a little bit of a weird feeling because we haven't been in that position this year so far, so it was a bit of unfamiliar ground, so to speak. But a lot of when we come in for the 3/4 time break, all the boys are really determined and on top. So we just said give it our all, scrap, do whatever we can just to win the game, and boys were good enough to do that, and the win prevailed.
Talk to us about the final siren. Obviously there would have been some pretty big celebrations.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I've played in a few good wins in my time, but this one was right up there, I tell you what. Just through how the years turned out, we haven't won a game and whatever, and just that final siren was just a great feeling, and everyone was just pumped. It was great.
What was more pleasing, seeing obviously getting around your teammates or seeing the smiles on the faces of the guys like the Dennis Hedges, the Gary Chaplins that work so hard for the club as you walk off the ground?
Yeah, a bit of mixture of both, mate. That initial probably a minute or so after the siren went, all the boys were pretty pumped. There was a lot of high fives and hugging going on, and as soon as we walked off the ground, you'd see the smiles of your Gary Chaplins and all the family of Rovers, you could say, and it was a great feeling, mate. Yeah, it was great.
Brent Ritchie named as the best player this week, and he's been a player that's been amongst the best players most weeks this year. He's had a pretty good year. Yeah,
he has, mate. He's been a great addition to our club. He brings a lot on and off the field. He's a great bloke, and he played a great game on the weekend.
You see yourself, Dion Hedger and Tom Stiles kicked 2 goals there, mate. 3 names that have been missing for most of the year. Do people underestimate a bit how much injuries have hit the club this year?
Yeah, from an outsider's point of view, I'd say, mate, we've really struggled to get that continuity throughout the year. It's probably the first time this year that we've had close to a full-strength team, and I think, the result proved that, once we do have a full-strength team in, we're a pretty formidable outfit.
Yep. And you've taken on your first assistant coaching role this year. How's that been, going from just being a player to being part of the coaching process?
Yeah, it's been a lot different for me this year, mate. You've had to sort of take on a lot more responsibility, and it's been a great learning curve. To not get the wins earlier on and now to build up, and there's been a lot of pressure on us to get a win, and we've been written off for most people not to get a win. It's been a great relief, and I can see now the stress that coaches are under.
Yep.
Talk to us a little bit about 2014, because we're probably at that time of the year where you're starting to plan for next year and starting to put everything in. Has 2014 been discussed much amongst the club and amongst kind of the playing and coaching group yet?
Yeah, a little bit, mate. I think what we're trying to do is just keep our core players that we've got at the moment and build on what we've got. Because what we've got at the moment, we're a great bunch of blokes, and we're all really good mates, really tight knit. So we sort of want to keep that core and then build on that into next year and bring in some outside players with a bit of experience and a bit of ability.
You got 2 games left. What are the chances you reckon of singing the club song again?
Oh, I'd love to sing it 2 times, mate. I reckon if we can keep the team we had on the weekend, we're a decent show for the next 2 rounds.
Yep.
But
obviously the local derby in round 16.
Yeah, that's going to be a big game. So hopefully we can get the points in both of them, mate.
It's looking really good for the Maryborough Rovers. Must be an absolute relief, as we said, to get that first win. Well done to you, Corey. Well done to everybody involved with the club. And thanks for coming on the show and giving us some of your expert highlights throughout the show so far, mate.
No worries. Thanks for having me, boys.
Corey Taylor from the Maryborough Rovers Football Club joins us. We're going to have a look at netball very, very shortly, and then we're going to look at this week's games, and we're going to catch up with 2 of the coaches going around this weekend. Sammy Luke Tracy from the Carisbrook Football Club and Daniel Parkin from Navarre is going to join us to have a look through next week's games as well. So we'll be back in a second, though, to talk some netball. Welcome back to the MCDFNL Footy Show. Time to talk some netball, Sammy. Just you and me this time, mate. So we're going to make this one count.
Let's do it quickly.
We will do it quickly because only 3 games on the weekend. Newstead taking on Harcourt. Newstead 56 defeating Harcourt 26. Really good win for the Roos. Kirby Kneebone 22 goals for Newstead on the weekend. And again, Jess Knief amongst Newstead's better players.
Yeah, we're saying we saw Newstead had a bit of a slow start to the year, a bit of an up and down start. In the last few weeks, they've started to build some momentum. And I think Amanda Guthrie and everyone at Newstead will be pretty happy with how they're performing at the moment.
Yeah, I think you're right. Good to see Kirrily McKay on the best players list for Harcourt, of course. Footy show appearance, best players. That's how it works.
That's how it works.
Corey Taylor next week from Mirrabel Rovers, who we just had on. Guarantee he'll be in the best players in their week after the bye. So
BOG.
BOG is how it works. Speaking of the Rovers, they had a good win on the weekend in the A-grade netball against Campbell's Creek, 34-10. And Steed, as she's been all year, fantastic for the Rovers on the weekend.
Yeah, Anne's been pretty consistent through the year. Rovers obviously be happy to get a senior netball win and a senior footy win on the same weekend.
First time for the year, A-grade netball and senior footy winning for the Rovers. And Royal Park 37, defeating Trentham 8 on the weekend. Royal Park just still hanging on to the chance that they can make the finals. They're only a game behind Harcourt in 8th spot at the moment. Kirby Postal 22 goals for Royal Park, and Hayley Laurie their best player on the court. And things are going pretty well from a netball scene from Royal Park. That's 6 wins for the season now for them, and you never know if things go right in the last couple of rounds. They could even play finals.
Yeah, like you said, they're still just clinging to that hope of finals. Just need to get a couple of wins in the last few rounds and they might get there.
Quick run through the ladder, of course. As we know, half the teams haven't played so far. Navarre on top of the ladder. Malden, Lexton and Carisbrook rounding out the top 4. Malden, Natty Bialaba and Carisbrook rounding out the top 4. Sammy nearly slapped me when I said that one.
Don't forget the Swannies.
Lexton are in 5th. Newstead move up to 6th this week. Be interesting to see how that works and if they can gain any ground on the top 5. Denali in 7th. Harcourt in 8th at the moment. We know that Harcourt are going to stay there. Royal Park in 9th. Avoca in 10th. They can join them if they get the win next week. And Rovers in 11th. Trentham in 12th. Talbot 13th. And Campbell's Creek 14th. It's time to start looking towards this week, and we caught up with Carisbrook coach Luke Tracy during the week to have a chat about Brook's season to date, just basically how easy it is for him. Last time we've spoken to Luke already, so it's his 2nd appearance on the Footy Show this year, and spoke to him before the season opener, and they haven't lost a game since, so he's going pretty well. So had a chat to him about that, and of course how they're going to go against Navarre this weekend in what's arguably their biggest challenge of the year, Sammy.
Really big game coming up.
So let's have a look at what Luke Tracy, the coach of the Carisbrook Football Club, had to say going into this week's big game. Welcome back to the MCDFNL Footy Show this week. The first of 2 big interviews we've got this week with the coaches from the match of the season that's being billed as this week between Navarre and Carisbrook. Firstly, joining us, Carisbrook coach Luke Tracy. Luke, welcome to the Footy Show.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, good to be
Second
here.
time this year, mate. We'll actually try and get you in screen properly this time. So not much has changed since we last spoke to you, though. You obviously haven't lost a game since, and things going very nicely for you so far in 2013.
Yeah, we're ticking along well. It's a good position to be in, but I guess we are fully aware that this is where it all has to happen now from here on in. So we're pleased with where we're at, but yeah, it's only what happens for you that's going to matter.
Good test this week, obviously coming up against Navarre, 3 weeks out from finals. Good chance to obviously get a measure on where they're at leading into the finals, and also to give your boys a good hit out leading in.
Yeah, certainly. Both sides are, I think, in pretty good form, but players will be missing, and it'll be a bit of I expect that if you're going to have to beat every side through the finals or try to, so it'll be a good chance to have a look at each other and see where we're at.
Obviously not much has gone wrong today. What's been the most pleasing thing about your 2013 season so far?
Oh, I think probably it's been pretty consistent performance. So across the board, all players are playing a role and stepping up, which is a bit of a cliche type answer. But we're getting improvement from fellas that last year were role players and now having bigger impacts and getting consistency from the good players again. So that's important. But I think just the step up and we're a pretty even team, so I don't think we rely on 5 that you can shut down and we get rolled sort of things. So yeah,
a couple of players that'll be really important in the lead up. Jackson Bowen, who's really starting to get some game time into him, he's giving you a real presence up forward, and I suppose taking some attention away from the guys like Nathan Wright and the other guys in the forward line, and he's starting to really get some goals amongst him, of course, when he kicks straight.
Yes, I know. We are good old big Nate to pot him.
He's done well, hasn't he?
On the show a couple of weeks ago with the kicking, but yeah, Jackson's so important to our side. He's a big lad, isn't he? And when he's finding form and confidence, and he's going to be really valuable moving forward. And certainly he takes the best defender, arguably, or in that forward 50, him and Nathan, and we need him playing well, but he's a hard man to stop, and he's starting to find a bit of form, I think. So,
and of course,
good news.
Matty Belton, player into the side this year, who's been phenomenal all season. How much, obviously you see him every week, is it just something where you sit back and look at things that he's done and thought, wow, how does he do that every week?
Yeah, he's a good player, Belts, and he's not, I guess, the type of player that's an easy player to shut down because he wins his own footy, but he's a two-way footballer in that he probably leads outside for pressure acts and chases, and he's the first one out of a stoppage with the footy.
Yep.
He's the first one out chasing the bloke who's got it. So he's not a player that people can say, like, if he's down or if we're struggling for the footy, he's right at the forefront trying to win it back. And but some of the goals he kicks, and we're hopeful that if we can get him forward through that final series, that's going to be where he can really make his mark.
Yep. How do you approach Navarre this week? Obviously, they've got a lot of very good players in that side, blokes that a lot of other teams would put taggers on or something like that. Instead, do you just go head-to-head with these guys and back your blokes to beat them in?
Yeah, I think you have to a large degree. But certainly we've got John Gray from a sense that who goes to the opposition best most weeks, and that gives us some balance. That also he's a good player. He's really improved over the last couple of seasons. Come from a reserve player 2 or 3 years ago to a really important cog in midfield. So he's someone that we look at. But then with the rest, we back our midfielders to I guess win the footy or apply enough pressure to make sure that if it's going to be tight, we're not losing that battle to put our backs under too much pressure.
So does John go to this week? Someone like a Louis Hannett or a Lou Baker or someone like that?
Yeah, both names have been mentioned. Both names. Louis, Bakes has done well, played in the league early in the piece, and we've seen Hannett and what he can do forward, so aware of that, and obviously he's finding a bit of form and fitness again after his body troubles. He hasn't had much luck over the last couple of years, so fully aware of those two, but we know that there's some others that are playing pretty good footy as well.
And Al Tracy, just slide into a forward pocket this week and try and carve out some cheap ones, mate?
Yeah, I might try so I can push someone out of the road and get a spot in there, and Big Nath will tell me where to go, I'm sure.
He certainly will, don't worry about that.
I'll try and find a spot.
Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the Footy Show once again this week. Best of luck for this weekend. It's going to be a huge game, and I dare say we'll catch up in the recent weeks after this, given that your boys are fairly well finals bound.
Yeah, hopefully we'll chat to you again, and we're doing okay.
I look forward to it. Thanks for coming in, Luke.
All the best, thank you.
It's time now to chat to Luke's opposing coach this weekend, the coach of the Navarre Football Club, Daniel Parkin. Luke Tracy from the Carisbrook Football Club joining me out now, holding up a beautiful poster promoting our Berry Power Medal coming up in a few weeks. The coach of the Navarre Football Club, Daniel Parkin. Parko, thanks for joining us.
No worries.
And holding up there, of course, the poster for the Berry Power Medal on the 9th of September this year. It's going to be another fantastic night at the Maryborough Highland Society.
It would be if Scott Kerry put his credit card out over the bar.
Chance that may happen.
Zilch.
Let's have a look at that. And of course, Matthew Scarlett, Sammy, the guest speaker at the Berry Power Medal this year, which should be fascinating given some of the recent revelations about Matty and his book coming out and the stories he's told about a certain Collingwood captain. So
Should be very interesting.
some interesting question time, I think, coming up. So load up on those.
I will.
And of course, the poster you're holding advertising our Junior Vote Count and Presentation Day, Monday the 2nd of September, out at Barringham Hall. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic night as we honour the best of our junior players for the year.
Yeah, some good players have won this in the past, so hopefully we'll see another one win it this year.
Well, boys, let's get rid of those posters and let's have a chat with you, Dan, about Navarre going forward. It's been a good season so far for the boys, sitting second on the ladder at the moment, only a couple of blemishes throughout the year.
Yeah, lost to Carisbrook first round, and then Natty sort of hit us at home and hurt us, but we got 4 knocked out. After that, slowly rebuild coming into September.
And it looks like the boys are going okay. You've got some strength across every line at the moment. Chris Brennan's kicking some goals. Ben Scott's chiming in kind of throughout the midfield, running in for goals. So you've got some pretty good options across the whole ground.
Yeah, it's been good, and it's probably more the local juniors that are starting to come of age as well, that last year put us into the finals, and this year we're building onto them.
I was going to mention some of those, the boys folks. Aaron Slorick that's come up and played some senior games as well. You're getting some really good youth coming through.
Yeah, there's a lot. Probably a good thing at the moment, keeping Navarre on the track and playing finals, is all that group of core people that have been coming through the juniors.
Mm-hmm. And yourself, mate, how you going? Obviously, you've been out the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, another couple maybe, but it's slowly getting better, and come the end of the year it should be perfect.
Will you get a game in before the finals, do you reckon?
Definitely.
Good, that's what we like to hear. Sammy?
Big game against Carisbrook this weekend, mate. You feeling confident?
I don't know, it depends what the weather does, and if Carisbrook have 3 or 4 out, we'll see how we go.
Well, you got some mail on, they might have a few out, or...
No, I know it's probably going to be raining though. So, no, we don't know, it's going to flip a coin and see how it goes.
Yep.
How do you match up against a side like Carisbrook? Obviously, they've got the targets up forward, Nathan Wright, Jackson Bowen, Luke Tracy will probably pinch hit up forward as well, and they're so strong through the midfield as well. You've got the tools there, you've got the Floods and the Tickners in the back line that will probably get the key matchups and stuff like that, but how difficult is it trying to shut that side down?
Well, any side's got 18 contributors plus the guys on the bench that come on. Jackson Bowen killed us first game, so we might have to do something there, and then yeah, like how do you match up against the building? You probably just can't. Just that's the calibre of footballer.
Having said that, would you look at someone like a Lou Baker or a Louis Hannett or someone like that, maybe to stand with him at the bounces and maybe, because Bilton will go to the footy, he'll bring, or do you like throw a kid like an Aaron Slorick or someone like that and get him to follow Bilton to the footy and then try and beat him at the ball?
No, well, definitely someone like him, you got to man him up around the stoppages. But
yep.
Around, yeah, if you go, probably more of an experienced player than a junior.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, yeah, you probably carve him up big time, and then, yeah, look, what can you do around the ground? He's just all class.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Let's have a look at this week's games. We'll touch on more on the Navarre versus Carisbrook game as we come along, but a huge game out at Maldon this weekend. Maldon taking on Talbot, Sammy. It's the absolute last chance for Talbot to get themselves into finals contention, and if they win this week, they draw level with points with Maldon, so huge game for both teams.
Yeah, massive game for both teams, and massive game that's going to decide the makeup of the top 8 come finals time. I'm going to go with Maldon to win this one just.
Maldon have been a little bit up and down this year, Dan. They've obviously shown some really good form against some sides, but at times they've slipped away. I know that they weren't all that competitive against a couple of the higher ranked sides a couple of weeks ago, so it's almost a battle to see which Maldon side turns up.
Yeah, it depends who they got on the park as well. I know when they played us, they had 2 or 3 of their more quality players out, so they've got a full team. I'm definitely picking Maldon.
Well, moving on, we've got also this weekend Natty Bialabat taking on Lexton. This is another huge game because Natty, as we know, Sammy, have been in rare form in the last few weeks, and Lexton dropped them with the split round at the moment, have dropped out of the top 4. They'll be wanting to win to reclaim that top 4 spot once again, and Natty know that if they win, that they could claim that top 4 spot going forward.
Yeah, we saw at the start of the year, round 1, Lexington got up by, I think it was just a point in the first game of the year, and I know Natty's pretty keen to even the score there, so I'm going to go with the Swans.
Tipping with the heart this one, mate?
Yeah, mate.
Which side would you prefer not to face in the final, so to speak, Dan?
Don't know. Obviously, Lexington's got no pressure this year coming into the finals, whereas last 2 years they've been flag favourites and fallen over. So I reckon they're a dark horse, and when we played Natty, they turned up to play. So, no. Fairly good outfit, rolled us, not that that's a challenge or anything, and pretty excited about it. And then, yeah, like if all their guns fire, well, it's probably going to be hard to beat Natty.
Yeah, I reckon you might be right with this one. I'm looking at Natty to get over the line in a pretty close game in the wet in this one. Avoca taking on Denali on the weekend. Big game for Avoca, who we know they're not 100% set in the finals at the moment, Sammy, but a win here probably will set them as playing finals this year. But having said that, Denali no pushovers.
Yeah, Vogue will be really keen just to not only to get the win, but get some momentum before finals. I think they will win, but Denali has improved a lot in the second half of the year.
Have you seen these two sides so far this year, Dan?
Denali pushed us up there in the wet, and yeah, if it wasn't for Ben Scott, it would have been a closer game. My tips with Avoca, especially like if Bo Ketchum doesn't get fiery and starts fights, brings them all in, it might be a different story. And Sam Kay's back from overseas, and he might be a little bit podgy, but if he gets fit at this end of the year, we'll see how they go.
We like that, throwing a couple under the bus. I like it a lot. And of course, the last game for the round, Navarre taking on Carisbrook. We've waited ever since the season opener for this one, Sammy, which we know that was a good game. And I suppose the question is here, can Carisbrook be derailed?
I'm going to say yes.
Is it just because you've got Daniel Parkin sitting next to you, kind of kicking you where the camera's not looking?
Paid him 50 before this.
Good.
Yeah. I charge high prices. No, I just think we saw Carisbrook roll Navarre in round 1, and I think Navarre's improved a hell of a lot since then. I don't know if Dan would agree with me, but yeah, I think they'll win.
What's the key?
Kick a higher score than them.
Good call.
No, it's going to be tough. Like I said, it comes down to weather and how we go about it, if it's going to be rain or whatever, but then we've got to be on our game 100%. Otherwise, yeah, it's probably going to be Carisbrook by 7-8 goals. They're just that good all over.
What do you take from this game if Carisbrook are to beat you 2 weeks out from the finals, knowing that you may face them again in a game with much more on the line later on in the year?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it a game where like you go in and you've lost twice during the year? Is that something that would weigh on the mind?
It won't be mentally, no.
Good.
So come the end of the year, it's totally different, and then one of the top 6 on their day can pretty much almost go all the way and take the flag out. But as for this weekend, yeah, we'll just maybe get 1 or 2 key matchups for later on in the year, and the result will speak for itself.
Playing a straight bat beautifully there, mate. I like it a lot. LT didn't give us much either, so very much waiting and seeing what happens with this one, because it is going to be a ripper out at Navarre. If you're doing nothing this weekend, get out to Navarre. It's a great place to watch footy and netball, and it'll be a high quality game on both the football field and the netball court this week. That's us for this week. It's been a fantastic bringing you the MCDFNL footy show once again. Sammy, thanks for joining us, mate.
Not a problem, mate.
Try and get another co-host in next week, do you reckon?
No, I don't need him.
Don't need Scott Carey?
No.
Oh, he's gesturing in the background as well. He wants to get back on next week. I've heard him in his office practicing his pronunciation and his elocution. He wants to get on. He's got some big stuff to contribute.
No, he's injured at the moment, so I can't see him getting back.
Yeah, but that's a leg injury. That's got nothing to do with an on-screen persona.
I just think it'll keep him out.
Okay. And Daniel, thanks for joining us as well, mate. Sorry I had to
worries.
put up with that kind of little tate-a-tate as we bag out our operations manager.
No, my pleasure. I'll join you.
Good work at all. Daniel, good luck on the weekend as well, mate. And, of course, going forward for the finals where we'll catch up again.
Thank you. We'll see each other before then.
We will indeed, and we'll see you before then as well, because we'll hopefully see you next Thursday at 2 p.m. here on the MCDFNL website with the penultimate show before the finals next week. We're out. We're going to see you next week. Thanks for joining us.